Hi guys, so I haven't actually done videos for quite some time. I've just uploaded a self-harm distraction video but that was from the beginning of this year, and I ran into problems uploading the video, so I eventually gave up after about 2 months of trying to upload. So yeah, now I've managed to upload it, so it just seems like I've just done it, but I haven't. I done it the beginning of this year. So anyways, I've had people messaging me on Twitter and I've got inboxes and whatever else on YouTube, and basically people wanted to know if my family know about my self-harm, and if basically how you'd go along telling a family member or a close friend or whatever about you self-harming. So first of all, I want to add that yes, my family do know about my self-harming, but they haven't always known. You see, with me, self-harm has been such a personal journey, I guess. Like, it started when I was very young, so self-harming has been something that's been with me for quite some time, and at the time I didn't feel like I needed to tell anybody, and no one needed to know, and it was just my way of dealing with the world, I guess. But I think that the fact that my family didn't know, neither did my friends, it made things a lot harder for me to cope with. I felt like I literally couldn't tell no one anything. It became this very dark secret. And I mean, I've always felt guilty from self-harming, but having people not know about it makes the guilt a lot worse. So yes, my self-harming got to a point where I started to become scared of what could possibly happen. So I ended up telling my mum. And obviously, before you tell someone, you go through this whole dialogue of what could possibly happen, like how they would react and whatever. So that's exactly what I done, and I obviously thought the worst case scenario, which would be, I don't know, that she'd be very disappointed, and I mean, my mum would want to disown me and she'll have a go at me and blah blah blah. That's what I genuinely believed. So what I done was I got myself ready for it before I actually done it. Also, I didn't feel like I could face telling her over the phone or face to face, because I felt that seeing her face to face and me trying to tell her would make it a lot harder to deal with, and also being on the phone would make it as bad as being face to face. So what I done was I sent messages, and that's basically how I got around to telling her. So I sent messages because for me, there's no way of her interrupting me, and I'm able to say what I need to say without her putting her piece in and disrupting me, and me feeling like, oh no, I need to stop now, because obviously you can hear or you can see that they're distressed or whatever. So I sent the message, and that way I didn't get to see the expression on her face or anything else. And in my mind, that made me deal with it a lot easier. So yeah, that's how I done it. How did she react? Now, obviously, I said before, I thought she was going to go absolutely crazy and just not want to talk to me and whatever else. She didn't, though. She was the complete opposite, and she asked why it was that I was telling her now. I mean, why it was that I felt I needed to tell her now as opposed to before. She wanted to know if I was still currently doing it, and all she said was that she wished that I had have told her earlier, so then at least she would have been able to help me get help from someone that's more experienced in that area. So she was no way angry with me. I mean, maybe she was, but through writing you can interpret things a lot different. So through the messages, I didn't get the hint or anything that she was angry with me. I think if anything, she was more concerned at the fact that I have been dealing with this and that I had to deal with it alone, and I felt like I couldn't tell her. And I think that alone made her feel like, I don't know, less, like she didn't try to blame anyone. She didn't try and say that basically I'm a messed up person for doing what I'd done, because obviously everyone has their reasons for doing things, and she knows that I in no way come from an easy background. So I guess in her mind, all she was thinking about is that she wished that she could have been there for me earlier instead of later now. However, she says that she's grateful that I did tell her. I plucked up the courage to tell her, because now she says she feels like she's able to, if I need it, she's able to support me if I needed to go to her for anything like that. So that was really good. She did say at one point that she's always worried about me, and she's always afraid that I will do something. And like what she said actually was that she asked when I do it and why I do it, and my response was that if someone was to upset me, or if I was to get really upset or angry or whatever, it's my immediate reaction. So what she was worried about was, obviously, if someone was to upset me and I took it too bad, I could go a bit too far and end up killing myself. That was her genuine concern. However, I mean, I told her that I tried to reassure her and said that I usually don't get that bad. If I do, then I can, obviously now I've got her to help me through with it, and I don't need to deal with it alone. So I'm not saying that it won't happen, but it's less likely to happen. Giga, do you want to say hello to the camera? Say Giga. Yeah. So yeah. So she wasn't angry at all, and I know that that's a very big difference, because I've heard of a lot of people saying that they told their parents or whatever and they reacted very, very negatively. And like, I've heard a lot of horror stories about what could possibly happen. So for me personally, what I done was I braced myself for the worst possible thing to happen. So if it does happen, then you're kind of expecting it and you're able to deal with it a lot easier. But if it doesn't happen, then you don't need to, I mean, you've got yourself ready for it and you don't need to worry about it because it didn't happen, sort of thing. Also, same applies for friends as well, because I feel like if you honestly feel like you can't tell a parent, then you need to be able to tell a friend. Now, I've got a good side to this and a bad side to this. Good side is that I have more than 2 people that know about it now. But in the past I had 2 main people who knew about it. One I would class as my best friend right now, and she's always known, and if I felt like I was going to self-harm, I was afraid, I could tell her. She would talk to me and she would try and stop me from self-harming. 9 times out of 10 it worked, and it was nice to know that I had the support there just in case I needed it. However, the other side of this whole telling people about it thing was, I have another friend who I wouldn't class her as my best friend, but she was a friend as well, and I told her about it. She seemed like she understood and whatever else, but then at one point we had an argument and she turned it against me, saying that basically I'm not normal and I'm the only one out of all of her friends, and she said that she had loads of friends and whatever else, and how I was the only one out of her whole circle of friends that would ever like harm myself or try and kill myself or like go through the things that I go through. And because of that, I'm like basically a bad person, and like obviously that shouldn't be happening, there's something wrong with you, blah blah blah. Everything that she possibly could have said, she said. So that's sort of the worst possible thing for me to happen. Obviously our friendship kind of was affected by her saying that, because in the past I used to be someone who would just sit there and be like, okay, fine, that's what you think, and I would leave it. However, now I'm the sort of person, you piss me off, I will tell you about it, and that's it. Because I feel like me holding things in is what got me into this mess in the first place. So you piss me off, I tell you, I piss you off, and then we're good. So I honestly feel like you should prepare yourself for the worst possible situation. If it happens, then you're prepared. If it doesn't happen, then at least you was prepared just in case. So yeah, also the other thing is that when this message was sent to me, one of the sentences was like, do they need to tell someone about their self-harming, and why? Now, like I said before, I believe that if you're self-harming, you honestly should tell someone about it, someone you can trust. Just don't go in the street and tell anybody, because obviously that's not very good. But I honestly believe that you should tell someone about it, tell someone you trust, someone that you know very well, maybe someone as close, or a relative, whoever you feel you can trust. You tell them, and it will make it a lot easier to deal with, knowing that if you need someone to talk to, you have someone to talk to. So I honestly think that you should tell someone if you're self-harming. I mean, for some people it's not important and they can go without telling anybody. I mean, I went probably about 5-6 years not telling anyone about it, and if anything, it made things a lot worse. It made me feel like I literally couldn't talk to no one, and like I was literally alone in this world of self-harm and whatever. So I honestly feel like being able to speak openly with people about it makes things a lot easier for you. Also, I want to say that just because I had a positive result from telling my mum about it doesn't mean that everyone will, because one of my friends who also self-harmed, she's had a lot of things happen in her past. When she originally told her family about it, I asked how they reacted to it, and all she said was that they was very angry. They wasn't happy, they was very angry about it. But what she did say is that she doesn't regret telling them, and it got a lot better after, like as time went on, it got a lot better. So I honestly think that if you're self-harming and you're asking the question, should I tell someone? I think you should. If it doesn't matter to you, then I guess it's down to you. But I don't regret telling my family about it, because if something bad does happen, if I do cut too deep, or if I need to go into hospital because I've caught an infection or whatever, I mean, my idea of telling people makes it easier, because it would be easier to tell your mum, your dad, your whoever you're living with, that this is what you're doing, as opposed to you getting rushed into hospital for, like, if you cut, for cutting too deep, if you burn, for it getting infected, or if you burning too bad. However you self-harm, I think it's worse for your parent or guardian to find out through the hospital than you telling them yourself. And if something does happen, again, you'll be able to feel like you can go to them for advice, support, or just someone to accompany you if you need medical care. So yeah, I think it's not something that you just jump into. I think it's something you should honestly think about, and I honestly think it's worth it, but obviously everyone's different. But as I said, I honestly think that for me, I benefited from it, because if something bad does happen, I know that I've got someone to go to, and I don't have to worry my mum by going to the hospital and her getting that call from the hospital saying that I'm here for cutting too deep or something. That's her biggest fear. So yes, I would recommend telling someone, and it's worth it. So yeah, bye.